Hello everyone, Banyuki here with another video. This time I'm going to be talking about HDCRT. Um, Members of the channel will probably see a video that I used to have a Sony XBR. I believe it was a 34 XBR 910, and I sold that to a friend of mine. And he loves it. It's a great TV. It has DVI, so it can take digital signals. Of course, it can also process 240p over component. So it's a pretty decent set, and it's a Sony. Well, my fiance's mother, so future mother-in-law, was cleaning up her home, and she had this TV, this 30-inch Toshiba 30AF85, and she said, "Hey, if you want to take it, because we're just gonna scrap it." So I went over there and I took a look at it, and it's 16 by 9 HD CRT, and it looks nice. But the one thing that got me is that it actually has HDMI input. So a lot of people don't like the HD CRTs because number one, it doesn't have scan lines, and it doesn't. Well, they're there, but you can't really see them. They're so small. And number two, the processing, because of the scalers back then weren't that great. The processing lag going from analog to digital, because it's a digital TV, even though it's a CRT. I know that's kind of confusing when you think about it, but it because of that analog processing, because the scalers weren't great back then, there is a bit of delay. It's probably comparable to, well, I would say like an LCD without game mode on, but it not as bad as with like having interpolation on, because that can bring it over 100 millisecond. But we're talking, it's as bad as like 3 to 4 frames depending on the set you got. But what's nice about this TV, because it has HDMI, I'm able to hook up my laptop to it and play these games, and I'm sending a 1080i signal to it, and it should be no lag. It's going straight through. There's probably a little bit of processing that I could probably turn off in the service menu. I do know on the Sonys you have the HD pass-through, which will take the processing out, and it won't look as good, but you'll have no lag at all. It's basically passing through the scaler and going right to it. But I must say, this image and this is, even though it's a Toshiba, I do know it was built by Orion. I know people are going to be like, oh, that's an Orion, that's not a Toshiba. I understand that. But it is a Toshiba branded TV. It does have HDMI. So I put a couple consoles on there, things that I don't really use that much. I got the Wii over there. I've got a PlayStation 2. No, that's not the PlayStation 2. The other one that I have modded and everything is in the other room on the OLED. Yeah, on the OLED. And I have an Xbox 360, which, believe it or not, its scaler is on the GPU itself, and it can take all of its games and play in 1080i, and that's really what I use this thing for. As an Xbox 360 player, it's going to have a ton of games on there, and it's pretty nice. I mean, it's a nice setup. But I did want to try out with my laptop to see what kind of games I could run on this thing. What's interesting is some games don't like 1080i. They just don't like it. Now, that could be because the laptop's GPU can't handle resolving the pixels. I do believe the performance hit is equivalent to 1080p. It's just, being done and interlaced as opposed to progressive scan. So some games just don't like it. King of Fighters 14, normally I can run it on my laptop. 720p, no problem. Well, 1080i, no go. Cuphead, one of the most recent games, wonderful game. It won't even want to work in 1080p. Like, the option's not even there. It's just 720p and that's it. And that's another good thing about this TV, is that it does 40p and it'll scale it to either 540p or 1080i. It actually gives you the option to play games in 540p. So I found that interesting. When I looked between, I was trying out the Xbox. I had an Xbox connected to this thing, and I was doing CVS2. I did notice that in 540p there was less flicker versus scaling it up to 1080i. So that was the only difference I saw. I don't know if the delay, I wasn't testing it that much, but I did notice there was a little bit less flicker. So if you have one of these TVs and you have that option, and I believe it's called Crystal Scan HD or something like that, some marketing fluff, but if you have that option, if with a 40p signal, you might want to trying 540p and see if that looks better for your eyes. It did in this case, at least from the Xbox. But overall, this TV is great. I mean, I didn't pay a cent for it. It was basically salvaged, and I think it's awesome. I mean, 1080i looks great. Xbox 360 shuns that 1080i, and I don't think there's any input delay. I know 1080p usually does, so I was surprised to see 1080i did not. But going through that HDMI port, it makes this TV had a little bit of life. I mean, I haven't tossed a PlayStation 4 Pro on it. I might, depending on how I feel about it. But it is a nice TV. It's not as nice as like a 240p set, but if you can find one of these on the cheap and you got the room for it, like right now, you know, I got the TCL over there and I've got this in the corner here. It's a nice little setup and it doesn't take up a lot of room. And if, you know, you can fit it in your home, why not? It's only a 30-inch TV. Doesn't even weigh, I think we picked it up, it was like 100 pounds. So anyway, just throwing that out there for these HDCRTs. There is some use to them. I mean, you can't use one of those light guns. 240p, depends on the TV. It might process it, might not. There is going to be some delay on the analog inputs. But if you can work with it, it's not a bad set to get. These are the ones that people are ignoring. You could probably find them pretty cheap. If you can go get one of those super fine pitch ones, those look really nice. Those are 1440 by 1080i. Those look really nice, believe me on that. Anyway, guys, take care.